Hello and welcome to the Knock on KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast where we cover Carlow, Kilkenny and Tullow Rugby Clubs, and we're joined as always every week by Tom Crotty from Carlow, Paddy Brown from Tullow Rugby Club and James Blanchfield from Kilkenny. Gentlemen, how are you going?
Very good, Stephen. All good.
All good.
A lot going on.
Lads, there's a hell of a lot going on, Paddy, off the field, on the field. We've got our own Towns Cup final this weekend with Tullow involved, of course, and we're going to talk about that in detail coming up as well. But provincial-wise and everything as well, and international-wise, you've got the women in action. The Irish women, they're playing England this weekend. Of course, Dannah O'Brien is involved in that. They beat Wales last week. Then you have Leinster, La Rochelle, and then all the hullabaloo about signing all these players and moving to the Viva Stadium next season and selling out Crow Park and everything. And the URC games this weekend as well, where Munster and Leinster are down in South Africa for. But we're all about the local stuff here and plenty to talk about. Paddy, we're going to start with you. The Tullow women were in the cup final, Provincial Cup Final last weekend, but things didn't go to plan. Disappointing there for the ladies.
It was, yeah. And after the highs of winning the Division 1 league and of beating Ennis in the first round of the playoff for the IL the previous Saturday, they were well beaten in the Paul Flood Cup final, and they were going for 3 in a row, and so they just didn't show up compared to previous games, and were well beaten 30 points to nil. It was a very, very windy day, so there was no conversions, but there was 6 unconverted tries to no score. So was it an aberration, or were people are they tired, or were they just keeping themselves for the big one next Sunday, or have Barnhall improved a lot? Now certainly Barnhall looked the better, more skillful team on the day, and Tullow weren't able to keep the ball poked out to them, and so it was a comprehensive beating, and Tullow weren't missing anyone. So yeah, it's a big wake-up call. And they played Barnhall in the league twice, home and away, and each won their own match, and so it was felt that there wasn't going to be a whole lot between the teams, but no, the match was played up in Balbriggan last Sunday, and it was a big disappointment. Yeah, absolutely. So that's I hope they're able to put that behind them, because really I saw since the kind of the winning of the league, they really started to look forward to maybe having a serious go at the AIL, and had a great win down in Ennis. So the final of that now is on this Sunday, clashing with the Towns Cup final. So therefore it's on in the morning, it's clashing from the point of view of the same day, but it's been played again in Balbriggan at 11:30 in the morning. And so they will have time to get back, I suppose, for the start of the match if they want to. But it's a big one, and the most of the girls now, particularly the older ones who might be thinking of retiring, would love a season or two in the AIL. So they're really all up for that. The other thing, we don't have really any info or intel on what Queens are like, because the league up there would be an unknown entity to us down here. I'd say with the Munster and Connacht teams, we would have some little bit of background on them, but nothing up there. So we really don't know what to expect from Queens on Sunday. But the girls will want to certainly be a bit better than they were last Sunday, and back up some of their performances all year. But anyway, we'll go in hope, and please God they'll be able to do it. So yeah, it was a disappointment, and as I said, they were going for 3 in a row, Paul Floods, and they've won about 5 of them now over the last 7 or 8 years. So it was a surprise that there was such a gap between the two teams, and we don't know whether Barnhall have got extra players or what since we played them during the year, but they look very, very good. So just apart from that day, and Tom will know, the under 14 Rhinos girls lost to Carlow in the South East League final last Saturday, and the under 16 girls had a big win over the Vipers, 50 points to 10, and that was in the Leinster Cup semi-final, and they'll be playing the final of that against Mullingar on the 4th of May, and they're also playing the Southeast Cup Final. So a very busy time for the under-16 Rhinos. They're playing the Southeast Cup Final against Carlow in Kilkenny this coming Saturday. So that was all the activity we had last weekend. It was only the girls were keeping the flag flying. But we have a huge weekend coming up, and we'll come back to the Towns Cup. But our 13 boys are playing Naas in the Leinster League Final in a tie on Saturday. Our under 14 boys, and that's the Premier League, our under 14 boys are playing a tie in Tullow, also in the Leinster Premier League Final. And our under 15s are playing Navan in Mullingar, also in the Leinster League Premier Final, the Premier League Final. So a huge, all those matches are on Saturday. So it's a huge weekend for our youth teams and for the Rhinos, as I mentioned already. Moving on to the men then, the J3s are playing their quarter-final in the Anderson Cup. James wasn't able to join us this week, but they're playing Kilkenny, who had a good win over Rathboy last week. You'll be probably talking about that, but we beat Swords the previous week. So we're travelling to Kilkenny, to Folkestown on Saturday at 3 o'clock for a quarter-final of the Anderson Cup against Kilkenny. And our J2s are in the plate quarter-final away to Wicklow also on Saturday. So we won't be, if anyone wants to get all the matches, they're going to be in difficulty. There's a huge amount of different matches. But anyway, it's all good. It's a nice problem to have at this time of the season. It will cause a bit of a problem for subs for the Towns Cup Final. So I'm sure some of the guys who will be subbing on Sunday would have been playing for the seconds, but I'm sure they won't take a chance on it now. So that means the seconds will be missing 5 or 6 guys that would be normally eligible for the seconds, but they'll be kept in cotton mould for the match on Sunday. So that's it, Stephen, in relation to all the activity apart from the Towns Cup Final, which we'll get to. So you want to move on to that, or?
No, we'll go on to that now in a second. Have a chat with Tom as well. James Blanchfield, as you said, can't make the podcast today. But he's saying, their J3 still have a good win over Rathboy. There was tries for Gary Corcoran, Victor Harper, Joe Connolly and Mark Coughlin, he said. And Gary Graham got 2 conversions there. He said David Graham had a good game as well. And Freddie was the best in the backs as well. In terms of Kilkenny's youths, the under-13 boys had a win in the division, or in the Leinster League Division 2, big win over Wexford Wanderers there in Portlaoise. And we'll talk. James is after sending through his prediction for the Towns Cup. I'll read it out now when we get into that sort of conversation. But Tom, much going on in Carlow this week. I know you're hosting the Towns Cup Final and there's big preparations for that, but on the pitch, anything going on?
We are thirds played Tullamore thirds last Saturday. It was absolutely cracking game of rugby. The game started off well enough, and then Tullamore played. They played some really, really good rugby. They had a really, really good mix of young players under 20s, and then mixed up with some of their older lads who would have played senior rugby in earlier years. But look, it was a really, really good game of rugby. We had the old defibrillator on call for a few of the lads. We had Timmy Donoghue and what was there? We had David Dunphy back from football. David has been playing football. Hasn't played rugby in a long time, but Dave made his opinion. We had Tom Bulger, who I have no idea what age Tom is now at this stage, but Tom turned up and had a good old name. And look, it was and Puddy Nolan, James Nolan came back from injury, so there's a lot of the older lads got a run. We had Alan Nolan, MJ's son he started at 10. The lads normally turn out. Look, it was a fantastic game of rugby, as I say. It was played really in super spirits. Ball was thrown around all over the place. We went 5-0 up first, and then Tullamore came back, and we thought we were going to get annihilated. They scored about, I think it was 3 tries on unanswered, and then at one stage I think it was 33 all, but in the heel of it then Tullamore had looked at it, their experience from the year. They played together for the whole season. They won the Metro. I think it was the Metro 8 they won, and you could see that a little bit different. So in the last quarter of an hour of the game, they stormed ahead and they won 48-33 in the end. But look, it was a really, really good game of rugby, and I just want to thank the lads for turning up. It's just great to be able to bring out the thirds. You know, at this time of year, you always get a few up for the cup. Then on Sunday, our seconds went up to Rathote. Rathote beat Balbriggan in the last round, and Balbriggan won they got promoted this season. So we were expecting a tough game up there, but the lads came out and they actually blew Rathote off the pitch. The full-time score was 44-12. The boys they played really, really well. Their structure was just so good. From the first minute, they just literally blitzed them. I haven't seen the seconds play as well all season. We had again. It's a fairly young team, but there's a couple of lads there like who were knocking on the door. The first, those tries came in there from Jeff McDermott, Anto Kelly, Sean Raftery, Liam Slater, Josh Cope, and I'm sure there's one or two more I forgot. But look, I have to say they're playing really well, and they're playing the semi-final tomorrow at 3:00 in Kildare against the Thai. We beat a Thai in the first game, and they came to Carlow and beat us in the second game. So we're expecting a really, really close match there. But as I say, like the seconds are playing really, really well at the moment, and we hope to give it a good rattle tomorrow, because it'll be nice to get into the seconds cup final. We haven't been there in a long time, so it's a goal to try and get there. Looking at I thought you've been sharp all the year. They won the league. We were second. We lost a few games we shouldn't have lost in the league, but I thought you won it out in the end. So it'll be first and second in this semi-final. So look, we're looking forward to that. Our under-18s, they went out in the plate against Gorey. It was a solid game of rugby. They played really, really well in the first half. It was with the wind, but I'd say probably a little bit of error in their behalf. There was a couple of times they got penalties and probably should have taken the kicks, and instead they kicked to the corner, and it didn't work out. So when they turned around and Gorey had a win in the second half, they just narrowly lost, and if they'd probably taken those kicks in the first half, you needed, like, it was such a strong win that you needed those extra points on the turnaround. And look, it was unfortunate. So that's the end of the season for them. But they've had a decent enough season. They're a very, very young side. They're majority of the team are last year's under 16s, and look, we're pleased with the way they developed over the season. And our 15s are out tomorrow in the Division 1 League Final. The 14s are in the Division 1 Shield Final in Tullow, and our under 13s have a third four playoff. I think that's against Naas. But look, it's nearly come to the end of the season. Paddy spoke about the Rhinos are doing really well. The 16s have their Southeast Final Saturday, but the 18s have their Southeast Final in Gorey on Tuesday night. We're playing Uras in the Southeast Final in Gorey, so we're looking forward to that. That's really all. We had our ladies have started, and we had our Give It a Try started on last Friday night, and good numbers, very happy. And so they're doing that for 4 weeks at the moment, every Friday night, and look, a lot of girls up. We've been up. Some never played before, and they're just up to have a bit of fun. We want to kind of start off with a social side and build up from there and see how we go. We needed a ladies team. It's been a long time since we had one, and you can see the success that Tullow have had with theirs, and I want to wish them the best of luck with the AIL playoff on Sunday. That's a huge match for them. But you've seen the success and what it brings to a club, and we haven't had it, as I said, for a long time, and we've just put the foot down now and trying to get this started, and there's a lot of people involved trying to get the ladies up and running again, and so hopefully next year we'll probably play in the lowest division, 4 or 5, whatever it is, and have a bit of social rugby and a bit of crack. I think that's what they're looking forward to. Other than that, then it's the big day. We're mad preparations for the Towns Cup Final on Sunday. It's the pitches, just as Paddy, the pitches, and I've never seen it look as well, considering it has a whole season on it. It's been rolled and mowed and fertilized and seeded and rubbed, and I think it's really blessed at this stage. But the place is looking really, really well, and we're looking forward to it now. There's a hell of a lot of effort going into it. So if anyone's listening to this podcast before Sunday, please turn up in person, and because it's going to be it's going to be a cracking match. As Paddy said, we know both sides are Towns Cup veterans, and hopefully it'll live up to the expectations that's there. But we're absolutely gagging for it now, and there'll be plenty of taps set up there, and we have to sit up on Sunday morning. I think I'm starting at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, setting up beer taps and all that stuff. So I hope the lads are thirsty when they come over, Paddy.
Oh, we'll have a few lads to drink pints, all right. But about the match.
Well, you better, unless if they don't, we'll have a lot to look after for the rest of the year.
Well, Tullow has a good reputation in that regard anyway, Tom.
But that's why I know it's disappointing and we hate not being in the final, but the only consolation we have is that we know we're going to get a good crowd with Tullow being in it. So it's a definite consolation prize in a way.
There's a great old atmosphere as well for anyone that hasn't been to a Towns Cup final or even a junior rugby game as well. But the Towns Cup final is great atmosphere. Great old day out as well. Bring the chaps along. There's plenty of entertainment and everything.
Yeah, there's Bank of Ireland Bank of Ireland have a play zone as well for kids. So it's a real family day out, and that's I think that from as soon as the gates open, that play zone that they have set up is open there. So get in the car. I should actually be saying if anyone can carpool, it'll be great, because we're expecting a massive crowd, and just if anyone wants to get parking, just a carpool if you can, it'll make things a lot easier, and then we can have the rest of the lesson have a few pints. Designated.
Very good.
Just great day.
Even from the Tullow side of things, first of all, just to thank Tom there for his comments about the ladies, and I know you had a ladies team before, we had one, but it's such an important part of the club, and while it's great to be looking towards the AIL, what the women bring to the club in every aspect of the club is immeasurable. So I'm delighted that you're going that direction too, and the very, very best of luck with that. Okay. And when we talk about women, Steve, you did mention the Dan O'Brien there and Katie Corrigan. I mean, the two of them played last week and scored highly in the big win over Wales. Katie got another try, and Dannah got 4 conversions. So the two of them played key roles in that game, and both of them I presume, are starting again on Saturday against England. So the very best of luck to them, and just to say again how proud we are of two of them. 2 homegrown players came up through the ranks. So yeah, the best of luck to both of them. Your comments on the pitch, Tom, I think that's great to hear, because only yesterday someone said to me, will it be an advantage for Tullow or disadvantage playing on a grass pitch, having played most of our matches on the 3G. Well, I was passed by your club there, lad, and I know how well you've been minded in the last while, and that's good for Tullow, because it is dry land, And if it's minded, of course, it will be very in great nick. So I think that's good from our point of view. I mean, some of the grass pitches around the province wouldn't be as dry as yours, particularly if you're after being able to spare it a bit. So I think that's good news for us to hear that it's going to be in good nick. And so moving on then to the game itself. On the team news, I suppose the good news is that there's no major injury concerns at the moment. The team isn't picked yet. It'll probably pick the train on Friday night tonight. Stevie Smith was taken off as a precaution in the semi-final against Gorey, but I'm told he's good to go. So the team, Stephen, will probably on the lines that started against Gorey. So the front row would be Scott Callback, Jordan Leyburn and Tom Casson. In the second row, two giants in Martin Cole and Colin Gorry, and a very mobile back row then of Sean O'Brien, Stephen Smith and Killian Murphy. The halves will probably be the same again, even though Paul Canavan is coming back from injury. But Garrett will be more than likely starting again at out half, even though he has often played scrum half with Ryan O'Neill at number 9, and he's been running very well there in the last few matches. And the three quarters then would be in the centre, Aho Bloomfield, the veteran who has come back after out of retirement. And because we had one or two injury problems there, but he's back, seems to be on top form. His record speaks for itself. Oren Farrell is the other centre, and the wingers would be Jack Hanlon and Ake. So and fullback, great to see Adam Johnson. Both Adam Johnson and Ake had serious injuries and missed good chunks of the season, but the two of them seem to be back in flying form. So that's likely to be the starting 15, which is the same starting 15 which started against Gorey. And the subs, I won't go through the subs, I don't know them yet, but the seconds will be having to forgo a few of their key players for the substitutes bench on Sunday. So what's the feeling around Tullow as to how it's going to go? I wouldn't be as confident as James with his prediction there of a 15 to 20 point win. Tullow have been in good form in the last 3 cup matches they played, and certainly seem to step up a bit from the league. And they had some mixed results in the league, and very happy to finish up in 4th place. But for example, against Ashbourne, for example, there was nothing between the two teams. They beat us up there by 2 points, and we beat them by, I think, 5 points back in Tullow. Ashbourne have a good cup record. They've only won it once, but they've been to a final against Kilkenny 2 years ago, and they won the All-Ireland Junior Cup, I think, 3 times in a row. And they won the cup, their only cup, back 10 years ago in 2014. So there's not much between us in that regard. We're going for our 3rd and going to retain it from last year. So we know that Ashbourne know how to win touch matches in their record in the cup, in the Towns Cup, but also in the All-Ireland Junior Cup over the last number of years. So yeah, we're nervous. I think personally, if they play as well as they did against Athy in the first round, they will win it. But that's a big if. That was the best performance of the year. And we weren't as convincing against either Carlow or Gorey, even though the scores mightn't suggest that. But those 2 games were a good bit tighter. And Gorey had a strong wind and were coming back strong in the semi-final. If there was another 10 minutes there, we would have been under a fair bit of pressure. So we're under no illusions as to what we're up against. We're certainly quietly confident, but yet we know there's everyone has to show up on the day and play well. And the weather forecast looks quite good, which is great. I think it's going to be 15 degrees and sunny. So with Carlow looking so well, the whole place should be a great spectacle. And it's a fantastic location for the match. And does it make much difference to Tullow? I think it does. I think it's we have a slight advantage over Ashbourne, given that they have to come 60 miles and we have to go 10 miles. So I think that has to help. And we would know Tullow. We obviously would know the County Carlow grounds a bit better than Ashbourne would. So yeah, that's should be a bit of a help. We certainly will help with the bar. Tom has just requested there. We'll do our very best in that regard. The other big factor, and I don't know how big a factor to be, is the Sean O'Brien factor. He has always spoke about his desire to win a Towns Cup on the field of play with Tullow, and he's given so much back to the club. I think lads will want to do it for him. It was funny, I met with Malcolm McKelly over in Portugal last week, and we watched the Leinster match together, and he played on, and he knew about the Sean O'Brien story, because he went back to play junior with Malahide after finishing his senior career, and he was making the point that, while he's a big name, and he was a big name himself in Malahide, one person doesn't make that huge difference, no matter how good they are. And I could see his point, but I think Sean is playing well. He had played a lot at centre during the year, but now playing back in his favourite number 7 position, it is making more of a difference. But even more important, I think the lads will want to do it for Sean. He is a kind of helping Morris as a manager of the team, and has a major role in on-field decision making during a match. And obviously, he's a huge skill in that regard, and from his coaching times and from his playing time. So that will be a factor. So there's a lot of factors there at play, but we wouldn't want to let any go to our heads. I mean, there's it's a cup final, and cup finals are generally tight.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'd be lovely for Shawnee to get a medal, all right.
Yeah, I look at
personal lot as well, but
he was involved with the 2 wins from a coaching point of view, but to do it on the field of play, the bench didn't allow him to play last year, and maybe they were right. I mean, it was that rule is there for a reason. He's still only 36, so he's and would be fairly fit as well from his coaching with Leinster. But they relented this year, probably because we were up in Division 1A, and as we say, it's a long-held ambition. He's always said it, and including in his autobiography, he mentioned it a few times. And what he's given back to the club over the years is immeasurable. I don't think there's any team of youths or seniors or men or women that haven't come across him in a coaching capacity at some level. And it's obviously what the way he's held within the club is beyond belief. And he has a huge passion for the club and has given so much back.
Yeah, I'll say that again, absolutely. So James is predicting a big win for Tullow. Tom, would you be as confident?
Yeah. I'd say similar to James. I think it'll be definitely 2-score plus game to Tullow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're both making me nervous now, lads.
No, and I don't, because it's I'm just basing it on what I've seen of Tullow playing this season, especially in the semi-final, the way they managed the semi-final. I think Sean's attribute is not his play. Like we all know what he can do with the ball in hand, but it's his brain on the pitch is the key point to what Sean is. Malcolm McKelly had it. He's not the only one. I was chatting. We were talking to somebody else about this, and they saying, when internationals come back and players come back, they're not as after a couple of games, they're not quite what they seem to be. The idolization from when people look at them, or the starstruck of playing Sean. It was like the lads when they played him, they were nervous, but said like when they got into it, he's a really good player, but they felt he was no different than anyone else there. When they hit him, he's a man. He's a big man, but they said actually that it was harder hitting Martin Cole at times when he comes running down the tunnel than it was hitting Sean. But it was a general consensus that Sean's game management, just being on the field, is like it's grand for him to be on the touchline, and he's extremely good from the touchline. But to be on the field is a massive asset. He knows when to slow the ball, knows when what lineouts to call, where there's gaps. I even saw him against Carlow when he saw the forwards were tiring a little bit. He threw passes out the backs to taking a bit of pressure off. You could see it, just take little things, small little details that like his brain is what is, to me, the brain. Sean's brain is the difference there. Having him on any team is massive, and I think your pack, Tullow's pack is it's just huge. I know Ashbourne aren't small either, but they're a phenomenal pack. And before, like, you know, Paddy won't mind me saying it, like, there was a thing of Tullow playing 10-man rugby, but they have a backline now as well, you know, and they're playing some really, really nice rugby. So it's a totally different even Tullow team, I think, even to last year, in the way that they play. So it's no offense to Ashbourne on this, but I just think Tullow this year will be a bit too strong for them. That's my prediction.
Oh, now you're making me nervous, as I said, Stephen. They're making me nervous.
Certainly.
So you wouldn't be nervous. Eddie, you wouldn't be right if you weren't nervous. I mean, we're all. I'm nervous about our seconds going playing, so I can imagine what it's like going to a Towns Cup Final. So, you know, I get nervous watching the girls play. So it's a huge step up, you know. You wouldn't be. I don't think anybody would. You know, everyone. It's cup rugby. It's cup rugby, though. That's the only thing. But look, on paper and to me, what I've seen of Tullow the end of this season, I think they'll be just that little bit stronger.
Absolutely. There you are now, Paddy. Just to make it a bit more nervous.
Paddy, have a good strong whiskies before you go to bed on Saturday night. You'll be grand.
No, I got to your clubhouse and have a few pre-match drinks, I think, Tom. To settle the nerves.
Absolutely. Tom, for anyone looking to go to the Towns Cup Final, how much are you talking tickets-wise and everything like that?
It is a tenner, and it's $5 to youths, and I think it's $5 to OAPs, as far as I know. But it's... I'm glad Paddy, like the weather forecast. Jeez, fingers crossed. I know, but you can worry about the game, about the lads playing the game. We'll be worried about the weather. So, trying to Prague and all, whatever, throw it out there, because the forecast is to be lovely. If it's a nice day, I think you'd be mad to be in Carlow and being in sport and being into sport and not just take a trip up and have a look, because it'll be some spectacle, absolutely some spectacle. You know. There's a whole build-up. The whole build-up is there. There's massive, like, there's full team of Leinster referees. You know, Bank of Ireland are, in fairness, are doing a massive job with sponsorship. They'll have all their stuff down. As I said, there's the children's play area. We have a big sound system in and a DJ in the stand to play music, pre-match and halftime and all that, and music afterwards in the stand. So, look, we're trying to make it a bit of a party atmosphere. That's what we're hoping for, the sunshine, but if the sun shines, everything is ready to go for a party. For everybody, not just Tullow and Ashbourne, but for anyone that goes up and has a bit of entertainment, a bit of crack on a Sunday. That's it.
Tom. So will there be any cream buns on
it? No, creamy pints.
That's right. Cream on top of pints.
Yeah. Guinness have taken the go. We have to say Ron Air, so the Guinness 0-0s. Lots.
Plenty of 0-0s available as well as
0-0s. There's well, I tell you, there was quite a lot of taps there last night when I went in. So
the tea and coffee on tap as well.
There's tea. There's tea, coffee, and food as well. There's the chip fan and all the usual things with a big day, all ready to go.
We're looking forward to the time.
Very good.
And Paddy, the best of luck to Tullow and everything. Enjoy the day and the nerves and all. It's all part of it as well. And of course, great Tom that Carlow are hosting it this year as well. It's not too far to travel for anyone. You know, similar to Thai last year, I suppose it was only up the road for us all, but Carlow much handier. And yeah, it's the pinnacle of the club year, so we're all looking forward to it. It should be a great all day. And Yeah, and the best of luck, of course, Dannah, O'Brien and Katie Corrigan as well, playing for Ireland this weekend against England in the Women's Six Nations, and that's huge as well for local players and that. And of course, to the Tullow ladies as well, who are going for AIL promotion as well against Queen's University. It's 11:30 on Sunday morning, isn't it, Paddy? I think.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so the very best of luck to them. And of course, to all the other teams as well. Fantastic weekend of rugby and that, and we'll catch up next week, and hopefully it's all positive. And that, lads, we'll drop it up there. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for the good weather.
Thank you. Okay, see you guys.
See you Sunday.
Take care, folks. Good luck.